Do a quick 10-15 minute class. Mesillat Yesharim. Whoever wants to join can listen in. Okay, we just finished Perek Shalishi. We finished the third chapter of with regards to vigilance. Adam, I said it correctly? Vigilance? Vigilance. We said it that the way how to get around the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, with regards to using your introspection. He's saying the way to overpower the Yetzer Hara in this way is to use your intellect. Before you go to bed, set times every single day to do some introspection on your actions to see how you can better your ways. Now we're starting the fourth chapter. He says here, He says, what brings a person to this zehirut, the carefulness in his mitzvot, is the learning of Torah. It's Torah study. That's what Rabbi Pinchas said in the beginning. Torah mevi'ah lidei zehirut. Torah brings one to vigilance or carefulness in his mitzvot. Omnam al derech prat, more specifically, hamevi lazeh hu ha'yitbonenut al chomer ha'avodah asher chayav ba ha'adam. What leads a person really to this contemplation is the service of a person, is the person thinking about his service to Hashem, what he's obligated to do Hashem. Whenever you think about throughout the day, you think about what's my obligation to Hashem, what do I have to do for Him, what's my purpose here. You try contemplating on these ideas, you start to use your intellect a lot more. And he says, "Ve'omek hadin alea," the depth of of the divine judgment of Hashem's din will ultimately face regarding that obligation. So he says, when will you be able to realize this thing? By doing a lot of analysis and analyzing the different texts of the Torah and the Tanakh and all the different Torah books we have, Mesillat Yesharim, all these things. This is the only way it'll get you to that true level of being able to constantly contemplate and do introspection. And by learning the different topics that wake a person up to this matter, you'll be able to get to that. Meaning, whenever you learn different things that push you to start trying to use your mind more and to think before you make decisions and to take a few minutes a day just to, introspect on your day and to think how your day was, what did you do today, and how can I fix it, how can I be better, you'll start to actually put those things into action. He's saying in this contemplation there are different levels. There's different levels of inspiration. For those who want to complete the actual knowledge. And for those, there's people who are on a lesser level than them. And he's saying all different types of levels, the whole general nation, the whole populace of the world, they have different levels of how they're able to contemplate and how they're able to use this introspection. He says, for those who are completely wholesome in their perspectives, the inspiration will come. He's saying, for them, gaining a clear understanding, the only way they do it is through complete perfection. They need complete perfection. There's some people who that's their way of understanding it. Nothing else. There's nothing worse than something that's lacking perfection. There are some people who they need something to be completely perfect for them to understand. He's saying, once this thing becomes so clear to people, to those kind of people, it becomes clear, let's say, to them is the means to achieve this perfection. How do you achieve those things? It's through your ma'asim tovim, through your good actions, and through your good character traits. Meaning the way to achieve perfection and to get to the perfect world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem set out for us, is to work on your midot, is to work on your actions day in, day out with other people, with Hashem, with everything. And how you do that is by this contemplation. If you go day in, day out, you take a few minutes a day just to think about, okay, what did I do today? How can I be a better person from what I did today? Maybe I didn't speak nicely to this person. Maybe I need to apologize. Maybe even not to apologize, just to think about how I need to speak to this person next time. Maybe, this person didn't get hurt from what I said, but another person actually would get hurt from what I said. Because each person is different in their sensitivity. So by thinking about these things, you start to become a lot more sensitive to topics like this. You start to realize your actions and take these things more into realization. He's saying, "V'dai hu shelo yitratzu me'olam la'am'it Me'ela emtzaim. If you realize these things, you'll never want to reduce in your good midot, in your good character traits, in your good actions. Why? Because if you realize that's what will get you to perfection, you'll never want to stop. Or you wouldn't want to be like lax in them. We're all, sadly, in this generation, we're all very lax in our ben adam lechavero, how we interact with one another. We call each other names, we make fun of each other. It's very lax, right? But if we think about the fact that this is what actually brings us to that perfection, we'll be a lot less lax in these things. Says Kikvarnit ba'eretz lam she'im imtzaim el ima'atu elahem. Says already clear to a person that if these middle grounds become reduced, or if they're weak, let's say you're not strong in your midot, he says, you'll never actually achieve true perfection. To achieve true perfection in this world, which is all of our goals, of course, Hashem is perfect. We're trying to emulate Hashem. To try to emulate Hashem, we need to try to be perfect. How do we do that? Through our good midot and our good actions. By a person not being strong in those categories, in those directions, he is basically telling himself, I never want to be completely like Hashem, I never want to be perfect. Saying, what's going to happen? Their perfection will be deficient to the extent that they themselves were deficient in their efforts. Meaning, your level of perfection is dependent on how much you try. If you try to be perfect, obviously we can never be perfect. Hashem is only perfect. But if we try to be the best we can be, we try to act nicely, we try to work on our character traits, we try to be a good person between one another, the way we try, the way we put our effort in, that's the way of perfection Hashem is going to look at us. Okay? So we'll see that the people who aren't fully perfected, which to them is something that's completely terrible. It's really something that's completely terrible. So then, once we understand this idea, we're going to try to be much stricter in our midot, in our character traits, to make sure we're much better people. Much stricter in our maasim tovim, and our good actions, to make sure we're always doing good unto others and never doing bad unto others. You don't realize that the Gra says, the Gaon Mivilna, he wrote that the purpose we were brought into this world for purpose. Each of us has a specific purpose. He says the general purpose that Am Yisrael was brought into this world was to work on our midot, was to be a good person. This is our purpose here. And if you say, so it's not a big deal, it's wrong. This is like the main purpose. It's the main point why we're here. This is the main idea as to what we're doing in this world, is to try to be a good person, is to try to make a mark on people's lives. After 120, what stays here? Everything stays here. You leave. What are people going to remember you by? How do you want to be remembered by? Do you want to be remembered as that guy who was, he was good at sports? Do you want to be remembered as that guy who eats a lot? Or do you want to be remembered as that guy who always had my back? That guy was always there for me. I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like the people who are remembered the most are the people who had 1 million people at their funeral. The people whose biggest mark, their lives, every single day, people are mentioning their names. They're Ovadia. 1 million people were at his funeral. You know what 1 million people is? 1 million people at his funeral. Why? Because of the mark he had on each and every person. How relatable he was, even to the simple people like us. That's the kind of person we have to be. Of course, we're not able to get to his level. What I'm saying, though, is that we have to work on ourselves to the point where we understand that we're trying to make a mark in this world. We're trying to make ourselves a better people. And we'll finish off over here. Those people will neither rest nor be complacent with their concern about this matter. Lest something something lack them from reaching that perfection that they're trying to reach. This is what Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei. Praiseworthy is a person who is always fearful, who is always afraid. What does this mean? The Gemara says, that's talking about the person is fearful in the words of Torah, that he understands. He's always paying attention to the words of Torah. How can I achieve them? How can I get closer to Hashem? How can I emulate God in a way that I'm really achieving that true perfection? I think when we take 60 seconds a day just to contemplate on these ideas. How can I be a better person? How can I work on myself? And if you really don't know, you can ask. It's really not difficult. But the only way to be able to achieve that and to become a better person is to do some introspection and to contemplate and to think about it.